All right, folks, welcome. I want to talk to you about controlling your telescope wirelessly, as well as letting other applications that control your telescope, let them control your telescope wirelessly too as well. So how do we do that? Well, it starts off with the SynScan Wi-Fi adapter that plugs into your mount. It works on any SynScan controlled mount. So it could be an equatorial type mount or a Alt-Az mount, such as that found on a Dobsonian. If you look in the, uh, I'm not sure what corner of the video I'm going to eventually put it in, but I've got the mount set up right there, and I've already kind of done a false alignment, 1-star alignment with Polaris. So obviously I don't have the scope on it, and I'm down in my basement and our little theater room thing there. So I've got it set up there, and I'll have it called up while we're talking. So where I've started doing a lot of astrophotography and observing, I live, generally speaking, in a fairly warm environment. But in the last few years, about 3.5 years ago, I moved to a new place where it gets extremely cold at night. So I've been exploring options and trying to keep costs down as much as possible and controlling the scope remotely to include wirelessly. And I've gotten to where I can control it through a single USB 3 cable to include capturing all my imagery and focusing and then controlling the scope itself. But I've recently transitioned to wireless, and I'll use a combination of either wireless or cable or maybe both together. But I wanted to show you a couple things regarding the wireless control. Maybe it's something that you can find useful or combine it with a technique you already have to expand your own capabilities as you enjoy this hobby. So it starts off with the SynScan Wi-Fi dongle, which you can get from Orion. I think you can get it from Skywatcher and OPT, as well as some other companies out there. But I'm going to show a quick picture of it. And here it is. It simply just plugs into the hand controller port on your mount. If you have an equatorial mount, like a Celestron Gem or Gem 2, it plugs into either the hand controller port or the aux port, either one. But the point is, any SynScan controlled mount, this thing will work on. So it could be equatorial or it could be Alt-Az, such as the case is this Dobsonian mount that I've got over there. Of course, I only have one half of it, of the vertical pieces put together, just enough to make it run here. So when you plug this thing on and power up your mount, it creates its own Wi-Fi network, its own Wi-Fi signal that you can log into now with your handheld smart device or your PC/laptop. And I'm going to use just the term laptop. Just know that PC and laptop, I use them synonymously. On your smart device, you can download the SynScan Pro app, and you basically, your smart device becomes the hand controller. And there's no way, at least on an Alt-Az or an Alt-Az mount, to also have the hand controller plugged in at the same time, because this thing takes up the port. So you're controlling everything through the app itself. There's also a version of the app for Windows, so it can run on your laptop, and you can control the mount through there. So step one is to plug that thing in, turn it on, and then go to your Wi-Fi settings and connect to the Wi-Fi network that the dongle creates. And here I've got it named SynScan Orion, and it's already connected. Then we go to the SynScan Pro app, and I've already connected. So then I'm going to hit connect. So you're going to run the thing, hit connect. That was the IP address of the dongle itself. And then we would do our alignment here. Like I said, I've already done kind of a fake alignment, but I'm not going to do a tutorial on how this application works, but it's pretty impressive. I've been using it for a couple weeks, and I actually like it quite a bit. And this is exactly what you would see as well on your smart device. Over here is the arrows to control the slew rate. So I'm going to just bump it up to 9, and you can look in the scope there and see the thing slewing around. I'm sorry, look in the camera. And it slews around. Now, what's interesting is any other apps that I could use to control the scope, for example, Stellarium, now I can use Stellarium to control the telescope wirelessly. And why is that? Well, the SynScan app connects to the Wi-Fi signal created by the dongle. But the SynScan app provides a port through which other software applications can communicate to it. So let me repeat that. The SynScan application can talk to other programs, like how applications run on top of operating systems and they talk all the time. Well, and apps talk to each other all the time too as well. Well, the SynScan app has provided a means through which other programs can communicate through it. And I'll show you how it does that here in just a second. So if you watch any of my other videos where we talk about using Stellarium to control your telescope, you know that you can go to the configurations here, click plugins, scroll down to telescope control, make sure that's checked, load at startup. We're going to configure. I'm going to delete that one right here because I want to build one up from scratch and let you see it. So we're going to create and I also have a German equatorial mount, so I'm going to use a naming convention to make sure I keep them all straight. So we're going to add a new telescope. We're going to control, that is, Stellarium's going to control that telescope through external software or remote computer. In this case, external software, and that external software is, you guessed it, it's the SynScan app that's running right here. So that's how Stellarium is going to control the computer. The telescope. So let's give it a name, and we call it Dobsonian Wi-Fi, meaning this is a Dob, and this is the connection to control it Wi-Fi. You can give it any name you want to. With two telescopes, I can control them each Wi-Fi or through serial, and I can control them both through serial with a serial port splitter. And so essentially, I could have up to 4 different type of telescopes listed here. Now, this is what's important here. If I go down here to, I'm sorry, this got changed. I noticed some of these settings were changed. So external software, Dobsonian Wi-Fi. We're going to come down here. The connection we're going to do through the local host. In other words, the same platform that both these applications are running on. In other words, my PC, its name is localhost. So that's the host name it's going to look for. And the port name that the programmers gave to SynScan app for other programs to talk to it, that port number, I keep hitting that up there, is 10001. And then we're just going to click OK. So now it's listed there. If I hit connect, boom, connected. I mean, it's that quick. I can close this, and if you've seen my other videos regarding Stellarium, we can now search for where the Dobsonian Wi-Fi scope is pointed, and there it is. So now, not only are we communicating with the dongle, the Wi-Fi hand controller, if you will, that is through Stellarium, we can also control the telescope now through Stellarium. Let's select Castor over there. We're going to tell Stellarium to send a slew command to the telescope. What's going to happen is Stellarium is going to send these coordinates over here through the SynScan app, which in turn is going to communicate with the Wi-Fi dongle and tell it to slew the scope. If we came over here back to telescope control, you can see that this is number 1. That's because we could have a number of these things listed here. Number 1. So if we want to slew that telescope, we have to do control 1 command. So let's do control 1, see what happens. You can see the mount itself moving in the video, and the telescope's reticle slides right over to Castor. And in fact, if we were to call up any of the windows here that show where the telescope is pointed, such as that, we see that the coordinates over here match over here. In fact, let's do another slew. Let's come over here, control 1. Always a little bit of a delay there. Let's call that back up, and you can see these coordinates changing pretty rapidly. It's going to do its last little slew, take out the backlash. There we go. Now I can slew it again through the SynScan app and watch what happens to the reticle. You see it move. Now it's a little jumpy. Why is that? Because it's asking the dongle through this app, through the Wi-Fi signal, what's your location. The dongle is replying back through Wi-Fi, through this app, and then back to Stellarium. So that's why this thing jumps around a little bit versus when you control it through a serial cable, it's almost instantaneous. We call that polling. Stellarium is polling or querying the hand controller or the dongle. Hey, where you pointed? Where you located? Where do you think you're pointing? And that's why there's a little jump in there because it's all going through Wi-Fi. And then lastly, if I just wanted to do just kind of a normal Ascom, however you want to pronounce it, connection, same thing. We're going to go to Tools, Telescope Setup. Let's choose the driver. Now, of course, there's Celestron drivers. There's simulated. If we were to just have a serial cable connected to any SysScan controlled scope, we could use that one. But look, the dongle provides this SynScan app driver. That's the one you want to pick when you're using the wireless dongle. Click OK, click OK. Now we're going to connect to the telescope. I just clicked that if you couldn't tell. And it's connected. And by the way, we should be seeing 8:15, 8:15:47. I will tell you this right here. This app is a little buggy. It does some strange things. The one for the handheld devices is spot on. I haven't noticed any issues. But every now and then I've noticed the PC Windows-based app does strange things. But notice that our coordinates are the same, 8:15:47. That's slightly off there. So I don't know why they're going blank right there. But if we click that, now we've selected Dobson Wi-Fi, and we open up all the displays that show us where our coordinates, what our coordinates are, we'd see that we'll have a pretty good match from here to here. And in fact, if I slew, a little bit of a delay there because it's going through that Wi-Fi. By the way, the reticle in the background moved. The coordinates changed here, the coordinates changed there, and of course the coordinates changed there too as well. So that is how we can control the telescope, not only through the SynScan app itself, but also through the Ascom device hub, right? And through Stellarium. And then there's one more thing, if we wanted to. Any other application that controls your telescope can also control the telescope through the Wi-Fi app too as well. Ascom SynScan mobile telescope. It's going to connect here. Let's come over here. And now we're connected. And by the way, if you go to SharpCap settings, go to hardware. Sorry about the delay there. All these different Ascom drivers, we're going to choose the same one, the SynScan app driver. That's the one you want to use for the wireless. And now we can slew the scope through Stellarium. So again, any of these programs, whether it's, I'm not Stellarium, but SharpCap Pro. So through SharpCap Pro, Stellarium, Ascom Device Hub, or through the app itself, I can control the scope through all of these right here. So I could use SharpCap Pro to do some plate solving, and it will control the scope and center. It'll sync and slew the scope sync up. I can use Stellarium. I can command it to go to a particular star by pressing Control and then whatever the telescope number is assigned to it. In this case, it's 1 right here. Or I can just, again, use the app itself right here. Now, what I want you to do, though, is watch this. I'm going to go to Chrome. I'm just going to call it Chrome. Let's put in Messier 42. Now, why did this happen? Well, the reason why is because remember, I am connected to the SynScan network. The SynScan network. So what I want to do is show you how you can do all of this connected to your home's Wi-Fi. Why is that important? Well, a couple things. One, your home network probably has a much greater range than the SynScan dongle does. And what the SynScan dongle range is, I haven't tested that out yet, but I know that my Wi-Fi can go 4 houses down because I've been down on the sidewalk and was able to check email and all that with my smart device. So this means I can sit here in my basement. I can be almost anywhere in the actually I can. I can be anywhere in the house and control all my devices outside through my home network. Not only can I do it through my home network, but I could probably control this device um, almost through any network, right? I mean, in theory, if I've got internet capability, because remember, we're controlling it through an IP address. So as long as the dongle can get onto some sort of network with the password, and I can get on another network somewhere with the password, then they'll be able to communicate. I'll be able to be anywhere and communicate with my telescope. And that's how a lot of your remote scopes, by the way, are operated. So, and then the other reason why I would want internet access is exactly right there. Suppose I wanted to look up M42. Suppose I wanted to use astrometry.net for some plate solving. What if I wanted to go look up a help file somewhere online for SharpCap Pro? There's many reasons why I would want internet access. So let's do this. Let's disconnect from the dongle. Let's connect to the home network. Let's go to, let's make sure this is connected. So I'm connected. Not only am I connected, but I have internet access. Boom, astrometry.net. So I have internet access. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to settings, and this is in the app. Let's get rid of all this other stuff. So in the app, I'm going to go to settings. And remember, the app is still connected. Disregard. It's not connected. Let's go back here and disconnect. It thinks it was connected. It wasn't. Let's try to do a connection. And so now I've reconnected, and I did that through my home network. So how did I do that? Well, you come down here to modify station and you type in your password. I don't care if you all see that. Hit apply, and I've done this several times already, so the dongle already has it. So now I've connected. That's why I got the green Alt as mode thing right here. I have now connected to the telescope via my home network. And I can tell you that because my laptop is connected to my home network. So I do a slew. It'll slew. It just takes a little bit of a delay. There we go. It's like that first slew takes a little bit of time. And when I let off the buttons, sometimes there's a delay there too as well. So back to the devices that can control, oops, wrong button, that can control the telescope. Let's go back to telescope control. I'm still connected, right? Because remember, the Stellarium is not talking to the dongle directly. It's talking to the SynScan app through that port 10001. Let's go here. Let's look for Dobsonian Wi-Fi. And there it is. Let's slew that over and see if that reticle moves. Yeah, sure enough, that's still working. Let's go to SharpCap. Where's SharpCap? You know, this is 4.0, and I've noticed it's a little... There we go. Are there 2 instances running? Yeah, that's what's going on. So let's try this. I'm going to pause here. All right, we're back. Sorry, I had to relaunch SharpCap. This is 4.0. I just got it the other day, but it's doing some weird things. But I've got a test camera, fake camera called up right here. If we go to SharpCap settings, just like we did earlier, we go to hardware, SynScan app driver. That's what we're going to use to talk to the telescope. And sure enough, if I come over here and hit connected, there's a little bit of a delay because we're going through, the whole network thing. But I'll get all my slew buttons. I got my sync capability right here. And again, if I slew, I always like to call up Stellarium's reticle. Let's just slew here. And we should see that move somewhere. Let's find it. Dobsonian Wi-Fi. There it is. Let's see if we can do this. Kind of wanted to show that reticle while I was slewing. All right, let's slew to the right a little bit. See what happens. There'll always be a little bit of delay. Yep, sure enough, it's moving. Apparently it was a timeout. Yeah, the SharpCap Pro. I don't know, it's doing something weird, but the point is, I am now communicating to the mount via my home's network. And another reason why that is important is that some of your wireless cameras, you may communicate with those through your home network. The other thing is too, I could use my smart device to connect to my cameras on those cameras' own network and operate the cameras remotely, i.e. wirelessly through my smart device. And now I don't need my smart device to control my telescope through the SynScan app because I'm now using the SynScan app on the laptop, if that makes sense. So again, what we did here was use the SynScan app with the dongle's own Wi-Fi listed right there, which we're not connected to right now. But at first, when we started this video, we connected to the dongle through its own Wi-Fi, and we connected all these different apps here that can control telescopes. And then we logged out, logged back in after we adjusted our settings here. And we told the dongle, hey, next time you connect, it's coming up here. Let's try that again. We got all these apps running in the background. We told the dongle, hey, next time you connect, let's connect via this network. That's my home network. And by the way, it's password protected, so here's the password. And it did, and we connected now through my home network. And still had all the functionality of all these programs that can control telescopes. And the one that's interesting that I did not call up, let's see if it's still, yeah. Let's disconnect and reconnect. So we got 4 applications now. Let's see what this is going to do. Yeah, it's funny though. This is a pretty powerful and fast laptop, and it's funny how I see it getting a little bogged down. So let's connect. I'm going to pause it while it does it. Okay, we're back. Yeah, as soon as I pause it, connected. So now we're connected, and if we check the coordinates of all these, that's funny how everything's kind of delayed here. If we check the coordinates of where the scope is pointed on all these different programs, I don't even know how I can arrange these windows so that they all would overlap. You'd see that these coordinates are all pretty spot on. Well, folks, that's it. If you got any questions, leave them below. I know it may be a little bit of a confusing video because there's a lot to talk about and lots of different connection options, but hopefully this will open up your wireless capabilities to control one or more telescopes at a greater range, which means a little bit more flexibility and maybe positioning your telescope in an area that's not as affected by neighbors' lights and street lights and things like that. And it gives you the opportunity to enjoy the hobby even in extremely cold weather like that which I have here. So any questions, comments, leave them below. I appreciate you watching. And if you liked it, click like, and I'd ask you to subscribe. And hopefully there's some other videos in this channel that you'll find useful. Thank you.